Right. Hi, I'm Marci Truckey, and this is my wife, Marci. I'm the area director for Young Life in Big Fork and Young Lives here in the Flathead Valley for teen moms. We're going to share a little bit of our story with you guys on how God has been so faithful over and over again in our journey out here to Montana.
We got to a point where our faith was tested a little bit. We never felt really stressed out about it, but when the time came for us to move out of the house, we had a month to find a house, and we've been trying to find housing. We had tried to find a place to rent, but everything was way more expensive than what we were paying, or wouldn't allow dogs, or whatever. We tried to find housing to buy a house. We wanted to own our own home, but that was hard if we couldn't find a
It's
house.
tough to get financing
Right.
for houses because everything was over $200,000, and
Right.
you know, with our income, we couldn't afford a loan on that, and so you know, just shopping and all this kind of stuff, and we finally found a bank-owned house that needed some work, and but it was like super in our price range.
Right, and we were excited about it, but everything was going to take. It was just kept taking forever. Like loan stuff, it just kept taking forever, and we just kept praying. I'm normally a stress person, and I'm working on that because I have faith that God provides all the time. But I am a worrier, and so I was praying like, God, I know you're not going to let us be homeless. Like, I'm not that stressed out about this. I don't know why, because I should be, because we have less than a month and I have no house, you know. And so when we found this house, we were praying about it, and it was in our price range, which was great, but things were still getting to the point of being kind of close to the timeline. We didn't have much time left. And then...
we ended up putting in an offer on the house.
Right, and there were 4 other offers.
There was 4 or 5 other offers on this bank-owned house, and the way it works, they can look at them all at the same time and decide who they want to sell it to.
This is the third house we put an offer in on with multiple offers on it, and we had not been getting them before, so we didn't have a lot of we're like, well, maybe it'll work, maybe it won't.
So we're just praying about it. But anyway, I got a phone call over the weekend. We put this offer in on like a Friday. Over the weekend, I got a phone call from a gentleman that said, hey, I want to buy you breakfast on Monday. And I'm like, okay, let's go to breakfast. And so I show up at breakfast, and he's like, tell me about your housing situation. I heard you guys got to be out in like 2 weeks. Like, what's the scoop? And so I explained to him that, hey, you know, we got to be out. Rentals aren't an option. There's nothing affordable for us to rent. This was in the middle of summer, which is prime time in Big Fork. And so I said, we found this bank-owned house that we put an offer in, and he asked me how much, and I told him, and he said, looks at me straight in the eye, and he goes, I'm gonna do half your house. And I was like, you're gonna you're gonna what? Like,
he came home and his face, he was still in shock when he got home. Like, he didn't know how to even tell me, and I kept going, why? Why?
I asked him in the parking lot. We're walking out after breakfast, and I just said, hey, why would you do this? And he said, you guys are an answer to prayer. And I'm like, how are we an answer to prayer? And he said, well, I've been praying for years that God would send somebody to Big Fork to have an impact on the youth for the kingdom, and you guys are the answer to that prayer. And so I'm going to help you. And I'm like, wow, this is just unbelievable. So I was able to call our realtor, and we were able to change our offer to have more, be a cash offer instead, and all kinds of stuff. And anyway, he calls me back the next morning and says, hey, financially and on paper and whatnot, he said, it's not going to work to do half. He said, I'm just going to do the whole thing and we'll work it out. And we're like, wait, what?
My mind instantly went to when I prayed. I was like, in my human mind, I don't know what I could pray for. I don't know what you can do. I instantly was like, well, I didn't mean that, but okay, that's, I can hit, wow. I just felt like we don't deserve this, but it's so amazing that he loves us enough to do that. It still brings tears to my eyes to think about it, because it was such a huge blessing to our family. I expected to be in debt with a house for 40 years, because that's what you do at our age. You get 40-year or longer loans and you pay them off forever. And to know that we'll have a house paid off in 3 years is unheard of for me and my family, from what I've come from. So he he's just amazing.
The reason we wanted to share this with everybody tonight is just that, as you are faithful, in the Lord, His provision is even more faithful.